Should felons have their voting rights restored? We dive into both sides of the debate next on Nightside.
The thing that I got, all that we got is pictures, memories, that's it. Now we don't got nothing.
I'm hoping that everything's safe. Like my neighbors, you can see that is nothing left in their homes. And my door is still closed, so I'm praying and I'm hoping that everything in there is okay.
I am happy. I still have my baby and my husband and my stepdaughter. Like, it could have been so much worse, especially with a 3-month-old. Oh.
2 weeks before Christmas, and Tampa families are left in the cold after a fire tore through their homes. Everyone made it out alive and safe, but now they are taking stock of what they have left and relying on their friends, their family, and the Red Cross for help tonight. So here's what we know. The fire broke out this afternoon at Brookshire Townhomes on Sly Avenue. Residents tell us it spread to 8 homes in just a few minutes. The cause is still under investigation.
It's an unfortunate thing to happen this time of year, or any time of year for that matter, but it's really magnified.
And to think that it could happen in so short a time.
All my stuff is burnt, and all my mom's stuff is burnt, and everybody's messed up right now. And prior to that, it's Christmas, so it's gonna be hard for everybody to recover.
Tampa Fire Rescue tweeted this picture of a cat that was rescued from one of the townhomes. They used a pet mask to give her oxygen.
And Catalina, you mentioned those families are getting help from the Red Cross tonight. We found out that 90% of the disasters their volunteers respond to are house fires. And they were out there for a few hours tonight, making sure families have access to the help they need.
Help provide them with their immediate needs, lodging, place to stay, money for food, for clothing, and then we'll be seeing to their needs as they progress and move forward with their recovery.
This was the 4th call the local Red Cross received for help after a house fire today alone.
Wow.
Yeah, they want everyone to remember to be careful with things like space heaters and holiday lights.
Oh, what a reminder. A news alert out of Bartow. A school employee is under arrest for child abuse. Police say Pamela Murphy, a paraeducator, was seen by another school employee hitting a 7-year-old child with disabilities in the face. This happened in early December. Investigators learned Murphy was involved in another incident back in November, this time with a 10-year-old student with disabilities. They say Murphy cursed and poured water on the child's head. Now she's charged with 2 counts of child abuse. After a back and forth between the president, the Pentagon, and federal court, transgender troops will be able to openly join the military beginning on January 1st. This all started in June of last year when the Obama administration lifted a ban on transgender troops. 4 months later, changes were made to the Pentagon system to allow for those troops. Then, in June of this year, there was a request to delay the implementation of transgender troops. And in July, the president tweeted his ban on transgender people serving in the military in any capacity. As of tonight, 2 federal courts have already ruled against that ban. Nightside reporter Sarah Rosario spoke with a retired Air Force Master Sergeant who's sharing her experience serving as a transgender woman.
Just because you're transgender doesn't mean you can't do the job.
In one of the most rewarding days of her career, Nancy Jones receiving the Department of Defense Meritorious Service Medal for her more than 20 years in the Air Force. She was keeping a secret.
I've always been transgender my whole life.
While on duty, she was known as Daniel Jones, married, serving her country honorably. Jones says she couldn't live in freedom until she retired.
That makes you feel a certain way when you have to hide who you are.
You're doing your duty, but at the same time, in the back of your mind, you have this thing that you know you have to protect.
We took the issue to our viewers on Facebook. First, when President Trump announced a transgender ban in the military this summer, a move many of you seem to agree with. Matt saying in part, if they can't tell who they are, they can't distinguish the enemy. Linda saying, if you have mental illness, guess what? You don't get to join. Do you know what gender dysphoria is? It's a mental illness. But according to the American Psychiatric Association, transgender people do not have a mental disorder and suffer no impairment in their judgment or ability to work.
The treatment is to transition. So once you transition, right now I don't feel I have any gender dysphoria because I've transitioned and everything matches up. It's beforehand And a lot of it comes from how society treats you, is where the depressions and everything comes from.
Viewer responses to the Pentagon reversing the ban are more in support. Terry saying they shouldn't be banned. If their mental state becomes an issue, discharge them like any other medical discharge. Someone else posted this. Is this a man or a woman? Does it matter? Did they serve this country? Protect transgender rights. They protected yours. Jones agrees, saying serving openly allows people to live in freedom and do their jobs better.
They have the right to serve. Anyone who can complete the training, fulfill the requirements, should be able to serve.
Sarah Rosario, 10 News.
One point that has come up many times during this debate is the cost of medical care for transgender troops. According to a study commissioned by the Department of Defense, that care would cost between $2.4 million and $8.4 million a year. At the most, that's less than 1% increase in spending. Transgender health care includes medication, hormone therapy, and counseling. The father of Anthony Naiboa, the third Seminole Heights murder victim, says a memorial to his son is being vandalized over and over again. According to the Tampa Bay Times, he says that he's been driving down North 15th Street every day and checking for damage. He told the Times someone has been shredding balloons, smashing figurines, and stealing candles. He went by tonight and didn't notice any obvious damage to the memorial. The family of Benjamin Mitchell, the first victim, says his memorial has been vandalized too. Neither family has reported the damage to police.
Do you think convicted felons should be allowed to vote after they've served their time? That's a question getting a lot of attention lately. Even Lady Gaga passed around a petition at her Tampa concert last week, collecting signatures to get the issue on an upcoming ballot. So let us know what you think. Go to WTSP.com/vote now on your phone or on your computer and vote yes or no. Florida is one of only 4 states in the country where people can't vote after serving their sentence. 10 News reporter Bianca Graulo introduces you to 2 people from different lives, but share a story about fighting to get their voting rights back.
A process critic.
On a Thursday night, in a church in Lutz, you'll hear tunes of praise. But pay special attention to one of those voices. It's coming from a woman who's grateful. She doesn't know it, but 60 miles away,
We give you thanks today, Lord.
there's someone
We cannot thank you enough, Father God.
who feels the same way for the same reasons.
If Jesus is able to give us a second chance,
They both made mistakes that put them behind bars.
why are we not able to give others a second chance?
They both believed their Creator allowed them to redeem themselves.
Is it fair that for the rest of your life,
Now they wish the rest of the world would do the same.
you should be known by that one bad decision that you made in your life? I've already been punished. I've already did that. Now I'm constantly being punished over and over again.
I paid restitution, yes. I did community service hours. I paid my dues in that. Basically lost everything that I had.
Lisa Washington lost her job with the Hillsborough County School District.
That was devastating.
She lost her house and her right to vote.
I had now become a felon.
14 years ago, she was found guilty of exploiting the elderly.
My mom was dating an older gentleman. His children, I don't think they cared too much for the relationship. They felt like we were taking advantage, of him.
Well, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. You hear that, right?
Reverend Demetrius Gifunza committed his crime when he was 18 years old.
But what about those that have done the crime and have done the time and now is doing something right with their time?
He was the driver in an armed robbery.
I went because I was the only one that had a car. They needed a ride. Did I know about it at first? No, I didn't. But once we got close to the place, that's when everybody was telling me what was going on. I have to accept the responsibility. I was there.
He spent almost 4 years in prison.
47.25 months.
I'm gonna let it shine. Then came home to become a paralegal, a pastor, and a dad.
And I have, since I've been home, developed a few other titles. But yet that one title that I had got when I was 18 is the one that's affecting everything else.
He also lost his right to vote.
You don't matter if you can't vote.
I don't think felons ought to be allowed to vote.
Richard Harrison is against a proposal that would automatically allow convicted felons to vote again.
I think there ought to be consequences to committing serious crimes. There are many consequences.
His message was met with resistance.
I'm sorry, can I have the floor?
During a meeting in Tampa.
Why are you opposed to people who have served their time getting their rights restored? Why?
The proposal excludes murderers and rapists.
There's a lot of violence still covered by this proposed amendment.
But Richard does not believe all other felons should be treated equally.
Repeat offenders, violent criminals, I think they should have a much harder path and maybe never get there at all.
Okay.
There is currently a path for ex-felons to petition to get their voting rights back. Both Lisa,
Waiting to hear back.
and Demetrius
I haven't heard anything.
applied years ago.
Nothing.
Nothing.
If the initiative gets enough signatures, Floridians would use their voting power to decide whether to give ex-felons theirs back.
That we are to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. I'm working, I'm paying taxes, I'm raising a family. I think I should have a voice in the laws that's going on. I think I should be able to vote.
Until that happens, these two strangers will be linked
Bless those
by their desire to be forgiven,
that may have felt
heard,
or may feel left out.
and included.
Both sides admit there are political motivations at play. Most believe the majority of ex-felons who would register to vote would do so as Democrats, not Republicans. Estimates of the number of people who would participate if this passes are around 100,000, and that number could sway elections in Florida. Bianca Gralo, 10 News.
700,000 signatures are needed to get the felon voting rights measure on the ballot. Meanwhile, you've been voting in our poll at WTSP.com/vote now. We asked you if convicted felons should be allowed to vote in Florida after serving time. And it looks like almost 70% of you say yes. One of the stories you need to know tonight, a sad end to the search for a Charlotte County Sheriff's Office canine.
The German Shepherd was found dead at the edge of the woods along Cranberry Boulevard in Northport. That's about a mile from his handler's home, where he was last seen in his kennel Saturday night. Investigators say it looks like he was hit by a car. Now they're trying to figure out if Ido got out of his kennel on his own or if he was stolen.
Investigators in New York City are trying to figure out what led to an immigrant from Bangladesh to detonate a pipe bomb in New York's busiest subway station. It happened in the middle of rush hour. At least 5 people were hurt. Investigators are looking through footage from thousands of security cameras to trace the suspect's footsteps. He was seriously hurt.
People in Alabama head to the polls tomorrow in the controversial special election for a crucial Senate seat. Many Republican leaders in the state say they still plan on voting for candidate Roy Moore despite sexual misconduct allegations against him. Moore's opponent, Doug Jones, continues to try to rally voters in a state that has not seen a Democrat to the Senate in 25 years.
If you saw the Golden Globe nominations today, you might have noticed William Dafoe is nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He played Bobby in The Florida Project, an indie film getting a lot of Oscar buzz. It was shot in Kissimmee near Disney World, and 10 News reporter Grady Trimble shows you it has a connection to the Tampa Bay area too.
Looking inside Gary Gross's garage, you'd think he just likes pretending to be a cop. Fake badges and guns, uniforms, and police lights over his workbench.
I'm just a lucky guy. I was in the right place at the right time, and I enjoy doing it.
These are actually all props used in movies, TV shows, and other productions.
This gun is a non-functioning gun. It will not shoot, a bullet will not go in it.
Gross has become a double threat in the film industry. Not only does he supply all these props for the movies, he's also an actor.
Okay, I warned you, one drip and you're out.
Oh, come on! Gross's latest film is called The Florida Project. It's getting rave reviews and Oscar buzz. He has a small speaking role alongside movie star Willem Dafoe.
There was no goofing around. When they said action, he was all business and into his scenes.
Gross doesn't just play a cop in the movies. He's been a real-life officer at the Lakeland Police Department for 30 years. He's no stranger to being on camera either.
Don't try to take a selfie, get up close.
He's the department's public information officer, so we've interviewed him dozens of times.
I can't tell you how many times I heard Hollywood.
He stumbled into this gig in 2009. Since then, he's been an actor or technical advisor in more than 30 productions.
I look back and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done this or done that a little different, but that's the life of working on the set.
This on-camera cop is his own biggest critic. And as he gets ready to retire from his day job, he's finding when one door closes, another one opens. In Lakeland, Grady Trimble, 10 News.
It's funny how like a small opportunity can just blossom into something so big. That's cool.
He's counting down the days now.
Yeah, he's almost done.
That's really neat to see. They had their jackets on the last couple overnights and early morning hours. You'll need it again, I think, tomorrow morning because we will be chilly, but we're overall going to get a good warming trend, at least for tomorrow, and then we go back down a little bit for Wednesday. Just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a roller coaster ride over the next several days. I think we've probably seen the coldest air, at least for a little while. These were the numbers this morning. So if you're up early this morning, it was 30 in Crystal River and Inverness, 29 in Brooksville, lots of 30s in Polk County. Tampa was 44 officially, but look at McDill, down to 36 this morning. That's cold. 40 in Sarasota and 41 in Clearwater. So certainly it was cold. You've got to go back a ways. Tampa's 44. I mean, look at this. You go back to March of this year to see numbers in that ballpark. And I had to double check this. Tampa itself, not below the freezing mark since 2011. So yeah, it's been a while for us to get some cold air. But if you've been around here, you'll remember 09 and 10 and 10 and 11. Those were very, very cold years. Hopefully they're in the rearview mirror for us for a little while. The normal's now 73 and 55. So we're running about 10 degrees below average for this time of year. That's where we're sitting right now, guys. That's chilly. Lots of 40s out there. These numbers actually will be very close to our low temperatures. We're going to warm up a little bit as we get past midnight tonight, especially past 2 o'clock in the morning. So 48 in Odessa, 46 in Safety Harbor, Dunedin about the same, 50 in Tarpon Springs, 39 right now in Ruskin. That is cold. Most of us in the lower 40s. The wind is light and it's calm, and that's one of the reasons, and skies are clear. That's why we're so cool. But the wind will pick up out of the west, and that'll come in off the water. That'll keep us a lot warmer along the coast. In fact, it'll warm temperatures up by the time we wake up tomorrow morning. So here's the forecast. We're going to wake up tomorrow morning not only with that onshore flow, water's in the 60s, but look at these extra clouds. These are mainly mid and high level clouds, but just enough to act as a blanket to keep us a little bit warmer. So temperatures will be in the upper 40s to near 50. And then tomorrow afternoon, this is 5:30, here comes another front. Now, no rain, no showers, no storms with this, but you see that wind turn to the northwest? That's another shot of cooler air, and that'll come in tomorrow night. So we're talking 70s on Tuesday, but back down into the low to mid 60s on Wednesday because of that front. But it doesn't last long. We're back into the 70s by Thursday, so it's kind of an up and down forecast. Speaking of this, look, this is where we are now, or will be in the 40s. Sunrise will be warmer by about 3 or 4 degrees than what it is right now out there. So it will be a warming trend, and then we're going into the 70s. I think these are what the lows are going to look like, which is not far from where we are right now. Now, the forecast for tomorrow is a really nice day. Lots of sunshine, low 70s. 73 is where we should be for this time of year. We'll be pretty close to that, between 70 and 73 for most areas. Problem tomorrow is going to be the wind for boating. Small craft advisory, especially in the afternoon and the evening hours. West winds 20 knots go into the northwest, 4 to 6 foot seas and choppy on the bay. Now, watch what happens. See the colder air coming down as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday. Cools us off for Wednesday. A little bit of a warm up into Thursday and Friday. Watch what happens Friday night into Saturday. Here comes another shot of cooler air. So it is kind of up and down over the next several days, but it's still a really nice forecast. The only rain chance right now is about 40% on Friday with that next front, but it does dry us out for the weekend. And even the weekend looks fantastic if you ask me. 60s on Saturday, 70s with sunshine on Sunday.
Now, from your Suncoast Hyundai dealers, this is 10 Sports.
I know there's a lot of chatter about our players. I think I view them as being very special to our current roster. When you have good players, people are going to ask about it. And I think that's what we're seeing leading into this winter meetings is a lot of names are coming up.
And one of those names circulating in trade rumors at the winter meetings for the Rays is closer Alex Colomé. The Cubs, Cardinals, Mets, Rockies have all made calls to the Rays, and given Colomé's price tag of $5.5 million, it seems all but certain he's going to be dealt in the coming days. But he might not be the only one. Ryan Bass and Justin Granite here with you. The Rays, well, they've had some trade discussions about these guys up here.
There's a lot of popular faces.
Oh, there are. I mean, we heard about Colomé and Wilson Ramos, but then you got two of the faces of the franchise in Evan Longoria and Chris Archer. Let's just say, okay, for keepsake, if you could only keep one of these two guys, Archer or Longo, who's it going to be for you?
One guy I can keep. I'm keeping Evan Longoria, and here's why. This is the face of the franchise. Both are popular guys. Listen, let's admit it. We don't want to see either of them go, but if you have to keep one, it's Longo because what he has meant to this team for over a decade.
Even though he's getting up there in age and his numbers are declining?
He's got 6 more years on that contract. It's one of the friendliest contracts in baseball.
It's an expensive contract, though.
That Archer contract's friendly as well. But here's why you keep Longo. Not only is the heart and soul he wants to stay, but you're going to get more in return for Chris Archer. And if you're completely rebuilding, how does it start? Prospects. You're going to get the best prospects by dealing with
I get it, but that Longoria contract is not very team-friendly because of the fact that he's making $13 million this year, and it goes up to $18 million in a couple of years. So if you're going to deal him now. Chris Archer's contract, you want to talk about friendly.
Oh, it is.
He doesn't make anywhere close to $9 million throughout the length of the next 4 years that the team owns him. They need an ace of the staff. The Rays are built on pitching and defense. You get that with a guy like Chris Archer. I get his numbers haven't been accustomed to what we've seen throughout the early part of his career, but he hasn't gotten any run support the last couple of years. You keep a guy like Chris Archer. I know Longoria is the face of the franchise, having signed that $100 million deal, but I think if you have to keep one of the two, it's going to be Arch for me.
It's sad that we have to have this discussion. But it's
absolutely,
a reality.
Absolutely.
Alex Colomé is as good as gone as far as I'm concerned.
And so is Wilson Ramos, making $10 million next year.
Colomé does need to get moved. This is a closer for a team that's going to win, 70-some games?
And they've never invested in closers anyway.
Right.
But I would hope these two can stay. But if one has to go...
Archer, you're going to get better pieces for.
Well, Longo's been the face of the franchise forever. So we'll see what happens with either one of them. Continue the debate with us on Facebook.
Netflix is no stranger to binge watching. You've probably done it. You sit down to watch one episode, and the next thing you know it, you watch an entire series.
The only way I know how to watch TV, honestly.
You're going to be tired the next day.
But have you watched the same movie every single day for 2 weeks? If you have, Netflix has a way of knowing. So Netflix tweeted this on Sunday. To the 53 people who've watched A Christmas Prince every day for the past 18 days, who hurt you?
No.
They didn't call the users by name. Thank goodness, how embarrassing would that be? A few of us in the newsroom figured the movie that so many people watched for so many days in a row would be a kid's movie, right?
Right.
But no, A Christmas Prince is about a journalist who gets swept off her feet by a prince. So these are adults. The point is these are adults.
I'd expect a knock at the door.
Yeah,
Follows them. I mean,
the feds.
See something, say something in that case.
Why is this guy watching
Come on.
this over now?
Maybe get him a date or something.
I mean, what movie have you guys watched at least, I don't know, 10 times?
Princess Bride?
Good one.
Okay.
The original National Lampoon's Vacation.
Oh, there we go.
Everywhere.
Yes. Alex?
Love Actually or something.
Love Actually? That's a great one.
I'm thinking this time
I
of
think
year.
I'm going to watch it. Okay.
Good night.
Good night.